Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
And of course, since I was hospitalized for a month with the Rona, I no longer take any breath for granted. Our next guest has a system that helps people improve their breathing pattern that's often disturbed by stress, hyperventilation, and of course now, as I can relate, COVID-19. The founder of a company called BreathBalanz with a Z is Sonja Nijhuis. Sonja, welcome Into Tomorrow. How are you?
Thank you, Dave. I'm very well. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you, and you're joining us from the Netherlands. So we got to love technology because we can hear and see you very well. Tell me first a little bit about BreathBalanz as a company.
BreathBalanz we developed the BreathBalanz. That's a coaching and monitoring system for people to improve their breathing pattern. Because we take our breath for granted.
Yeah, well, some of us do, or some of us don't take it for granted any longer. Having not had any breath a couple of times there, it was very scary. And now I'm still suffering post-COVID symptoms and swollen vocal cords. I mean, it's just so bizarre, all of it. And just not quite back yet, if you will, even months later. But you bring up a good point, though. Most of us do take our breath for granted. So how does the BreathBalanz with a Z help us to improve our breathing?
We have a unique built-up program, 80 days, connected with a scientifically symptoms list that helps you with content, visuals, and voice to guide you doing the exercises. So it supports you, because doing exercises is not what people love.
Yeah, true.
It takes time.
Yeah.
But you have to train back again your abdominal, because most of the people have a chest breathing. They're using their neck and shoulders. They got dizziness, palpitations, and all kinds of complaints. 10% of our healthy people have disturbed breathing pattern. And millions of people now who are infected by COVID-19 have also a disturbed breathing pattern.
Wow. And some of us still have disturbed breathing.
Yes.
And you bring up a very good point that a lot of people, I guess myself included, have been breathing wrongly perhaps all this time. And especially I'd like to think as a broadcaster, you tend to take a deep breath and you project and whatnot. And maybe from the chest is wrong. And that's why I also had double pneumonia. Who knows? I mean, like nobody had all the answers. But breathing from the stomach, from the abdomen, as you say, it has got to be a better thing to do. And why is that?
Look at your baby. They're using the abdominal. When you are getting older, sitting all the time behind a computer, when you don't breathe, or when you are gaming for hours and weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't use their abdominal good in vision. So that's why you have to train the abdominal again. It's a training. And one thing is also the breathing frequency is too high most of the time. And also the acidity of the blood is changing. So your body thinks, breathe in, inhale, inhale, inhale. When you are sitting on a chair, that's not necessary. So that is why you have to train your abdominal again.
Wow. And I remember back one of the major episodes where later actually doctors told me they thought they had lost me, which was scary enough. But in the hospital, when they're running into the room with all kind of bells and codes and whatnot, and gowning up and masking up and screaming from my doorway, calm down and breathe. And
Yes.
Somebody else yelled, breathe from your stomach. And I'm going, well, that's easy to say. First, calm down and breathe when you have no breath. Of course, that was a different set of circumstances. But I'm wondering now if maybe I was breathing more properly, I wouldn't have had the problem or as big a problem, especially now that you mentioned it. I remember hearing one doctor or nurse or somebody, because it was becoming all a blur and then I passed out, that was saying, breathe from your stomach. Well, again, there was no breath there. So, I mean, I couldn't breathe, but that was a different situation. But
because it is the muscle. When you don't use that muscle, good, you breathe from your chest.
Wow.
And it is not done in one exercise. People think training your abdominal again, when you are intensive care and you have used not your own breath, but you get breath, oxygen, it takes a half year till a year to get working good the abdominal again.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, gee.
Yes.
Well, that's funny because, well, not so funny. It's accurate, no doubt, because the last thing I remembered, or the next thing I remembered, was waking up in the hallway en route to intensive care after that circumstance. And I'm sharing this with our audience. You know, it's very personal, obviously, because it is so serious and it is so important. So is that why you decided to create the Breath Balance? Was there somebody in your family that had an issue, or how you? Ah.
I have 25 years ago experience of my own. I was lying with the therapist on the ground and he says, breathe through your belly. I thought, where is my belly?
Oh.
I got palpitations, I got headache, I got dizziness. So then I started my own practice 15 years ago. And people ask, support me at home doing exercises. That's why I developed the Breath Balance, because it's a huge impact on mind and body for people.
No doubt. Well, now let's talk about the product itself. How does it work? What does it actually do? How is it creating these breathing exercises with us?
I show you the product in our case. They will send to you.
Mm-hmm. Healthier by improving, whoops, you took it away. Healthier by improving or restoring your breathing pattern. Okay. And
good breathing is the foundation of a healthy life.
It would seem.
Yes. So what we are doing is build the build-up program. It supports you by visuals. It supports you by voice and also content. We're showing you your symptoms. Why do you have a headache? Because the doctor said there is no problem with your mind. Why do you have dizziness? No problem. Why do you have palpitations? So that's why the impact is so huge from the complaints. Because when you always feel the palpitations, you become scary. Get tension.
Yes.
So that's the program every week when you're doing exercises 2 times a day, in the morning and in the evening. You see how your symptoms list is doing. Symptom disappears, complaints, restoring your breathing pattern. And also we need a sensor to measure your breathing frequency. When it is 20 times a minute, you are running when you are sitting on a chair. That's why a lot of people have sleeping problems. At night, the breathing frequency is also 20 times a minute. It doesn't stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that part of the issue with sleep apnea as well? Does that enter into?
Apnea is a different thing, but
Okay.
People don't sleep in the night because their body is too busy. It's working. When you are breathing 20 times a minute, you are cycling like a top sport.
Oh, gee. And we should be mellow and relaxed and sleeping comfortably, not working so hard, breathing improperly.
No. And that's why we call breathe well, sleep well, be well.
Ah, very good. So now there is a sensor you mentioned that attaches to us, or tell us about that. How does that work?
We use it once a week on our belly, so then we can see how often you breathe. But people think when they're doing an exercise and they have 20 times a minute, and after the exercise they think, okay, it must be between 6 and 12. But that's not doing, because it's a training. You need more than weeks to get the abdominal working good again.
So it's not only the abdominal muscles, I guess, that need to be trained or retrained, but it's also in our mind so that we're doing it properly. And who would have thought, as you said earlier, that some of us do take our breathing for granted, that this is something we'd have to actually concentrate on. But you bring up some really good points. I mean, especially since my issue with the Rona and my son, who also had it, thank God wasn't hospitalized. But Chris and I both find ourselves getting dizzy still frequently. And now you make me wonder, it could very well be in addition to standing up too fast or something, or bending over and picking something up and going, whoa, I should have gone slower. It could also be breathing patterns that are making us almost hyperventilate. Is that a good way to perhaps make an analogy?
Hyperventilation is too fast and too quick breathing. But also, I can give you another tip or suggestion.
Please.
When you are talking too fast without breathing, you get also complaints.
Yeah, well, that's true. And as a talk show host, my job is to fill dead air. So I have to keep talking, which a lot of people say, well, that's a shame, just be quiet, including my ear, nose, and throat doctor who says the only vocal cord remedy is to shut up. Well, tell that to a talk show host. The show must go on.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I know that. But maybe you can do exercises at home.
Aha. Well, that's very true. Now, let's talk about the BreathBalanz. Is it available currently? And if so, how much in US dollars? How does one get it?
Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon or in our web shop, and it's $199.
Okay, so for $200, just under $200, we're going to learn to breathe better. And once we learn this, is this something that we would then use the BreathBalanz frequently anyway, just to kind of keep it up? Or
yeah, you can do an exercise when you like, because stress, sitting behind a computer, what I mentioned, will disturb your breathing pattern. This is also good to keep it in shape. It's a muscle. Keep your abdominal in shape.
Yes.
That's the best you can do.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it would be extra helpful to get rid of the beer belly even, or what have you. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, that's air in the belly.
Yes.
When you inhale too much air.
So if you're breathing properly from the belly, then you're exercising those muscles rather than making your chest work so much harder.
Yes. And a lot of people have neck and shoulder complaints.
Boy, I do every day, usually by the end of the day. And I'm saying it's not the computer because I'm sitting up properly. I swear I'm working hard at that. But by the end of every day since the Rona, exactly, it's neck and shoulders.
You use your neck and shoulders for taking a breath.
Wow.
Because it should come from your abdominal. Let your abdominal go. Not this. No.
Don't shrug your shoulders. Okay. Again, come and let me let our audience remind them you've got to come watch the video and you'll see what Sonja's talking about. So I think I was trying to shrug my shoulders and you said, no, don't do that.
No, don't use that shoulder.
The whole time we've been talking, I've been trying to concentrate on breathing from my belly, but it's not so easy.
No. It's not natural when you have a chest breathing now.
Yeah. It's
Remember
really
all the time, our abdominal is a big muscle.
A big muscle. Some of us bigger than others, yes.
Yes, it's a big muscle and you have to train it.
Wow. Now, you say specifically for people that are currently suffering from COVID-19, I'm assuming for all the reasons we've talked about up to this point and even my experience, but why more so for COVID sufferers than everybody who needs to learn to breathe better?
It is for everybody, but we see that the COVID patient also gets scared to go to people to get therapy or something like that. So they want to stay at home. And the BreathBalanz you can use at home.
Wow.
Professionals can support you, healthcare professionals, but also you can do it at home.
And so you make me wonder why my pulmonologists that I've been to, I mean, they were throwing so many things at me and so many doctors, obviously, in the month in the hospital, that it's like, do you really know what's happening? And of course, in many cases, they didn't. And it's a lot of experimentation. But why no one, other than that one doctor or nurse screaming at me from the doorway as they were gowning up, breathe from the belly, and it was like, okay, it didn't really make sense to me until now why they said that, but no one else has said that since. It seems to make so much more sense to me. And you talk about the palpitations. For 2 or 3 months after the hospital, up my upper chest, I was having those issues. And I was like, I had to constantly go, to catch my breath because I felt that I wasn't breathing properly. Well, that was part of the problem. I was not breathing properly.
And a lot of people get scared.
Yeah.
So the next time they take an ambulance and they go to the hospital because they think they have a heart attack.
Wow.
There are many, many people who are going to the hospital.
So this also prevents that, of course, because if we're
Yes,
breathing
yes.
properly, we're not having those other issues or
I
symptoms.
say it again, our breathing is our foundation for our healthy life.
Yeah.
That started in the Eastern countries, Asia, India. They're talking about meditation, about breathing. But we don't. In the Western world, we don't.
Wow, yet another good point, Sonja. You're just a wealth of information. So, I mean, that's.
Thank you.
I'm wondering now. I'm hearing my audience in my head saying, "Is Sonja a doctor? What kind of experience do you have on this? Do you have pulmonary experience of some sort?" But you created this great device from personal need, which is a good reason. But obviously, you've done a lot of research as well.
I've done research, but also I take my schools again. So my practices have a certification, but now I'm an entrepreneur because I wanted to make my dream come through and let the people know about this product. Because what I say, it's important to breathe good, to have a good breathing pattern.
And I remember one of the very first things you said at the beginning of our interview was, look at the baby. And how does the baby breathe? It's through the stomach. And then we learn wrongly as we get older that it's those chest breaths that we're taking, and that's improper.
Look at the children behind the computer, gaming.
Yeah.
They're holding their breath.
They're gasping.
Yes, and when you are holding your breath, your brains don't get oxygen because in the long time, it gives complaints. Also working at home, constantly sitting behind a computer, holding your breath, give complaints.
And you're not even realizing that you're holding your breath. Maybe you're simply
no.
finishing an email, or you're just, okay, good, click send. But what have you been doing in creating that email or working on the computer? Because yeah, you're right. If I'm not here in the studio, I'm sitting in front of the computer. And that's not a good thing, granted, but it's also necessary because of our jobs and to learn to breathe properly. Now, not to take anything away from the BreathBalanz product, but can people learn to do this on their own? This, no doubt the product will help us immensely,
Yeah.
but
I know there are a lot of applications in the store for free, I know. And they're also good when you know what you're doing. But what you told me, Dave, you don't find your belly again when you are in the hospital.
No.
You don't know what the difference is between the chest and a belly breathing. So I think people need to be guided. And that is why we developed the BreathBalanz, because I used this program for more than 15 years in our own practice.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, people with OCD, people with burnout, with stress, anxiety, hyperventilation. So we tested for more than 15 years. And that is why now we find a solution. Support people at home. Because doing exercise at home is a little bit difficult for them.
Sure.
What is one? One. But one. There's a difference. Inhale, exhale. How are you doing it?
Wow. I never thought at my age of 100 now, it seems like, especially I swear it took 10 years off my life in the hospital, but I never thought that I'd have to relearn how to breathe properly. But everything you're saying makes so much sense that I can...
Also, it's important, Dave, the acidity of your blood. Because when it is too basic, the sensor in your head says, breathe, David, breathe, breathe. But Dave is sitting on a chair. He is not sporting, cycling. He's sitting. So that has to also be restored.
Wow. Is this
it's more than do an exercise.
Gotcha. Is the BreathBalanz something that a family can buy and share with members of the family?
Yes. There's
Good.
one email address, you can have a barcode, so you can share it in your family.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah.
So it's an investment that can help the whole family. And especially if you've got mom or dad or grandparents or anybody else that has some issues, or even, I'm guessing now, younger kids, as you keep mentioning about gaming, let's teach them properly for the rest of their life to breathe properly.
That's my mission. Well, to let the people aware of the influence of the breathing on our mind and body.
Love it. Well, Sonja, credit to you, because not
you.
only are you a delight to talk with, but you have really opened my eyes, and I'm sure
Okay.
many of our audience as well, with, you know what, God, you're right. And especially now, my gosh, you talk about the neck and shoulder pain every day, and it's like, it makes so much sense. And if I can change that, you know, without physical therapy, because they did virtually nothing for me, unfortunately, after a couple of months, it was like, same problem. You know, well, nobody talked about my breathing.
I know.
So thank you, Sonja. You want to visit?
That's why I'm so happy that you made it a point in your Into Tomorrow. I'm very glad. I'm very happy to that.
Well, and it's our pleasure as well. Thank you. BreathBalanz.com.
Yes.
It ends with a Z. So breath, BALANZ.com for more. And of course, we're going to link all of our audience there when they visit us at intotomorrow.com. Sonja, thank you so much. And let's stay in touch, because I'm sure you continue to tweak and work on things and probably improve the product as we go. We'll wait for even the next version and share that with our audience as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Sonja Nijhuis is the founder of Breath in Balance, and you want to visit BreathBalanz with a Z at the end.com. I'm Dave Graveline, bringing you further into tomorrow, and we're back with more right here on the Advanced Media Network as I breathe from my belly.